and Listings podcast. I have CJ joining in today. Hey, CJ.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So excited for our talk today. And, for the people that are listening and that haven't met you yet, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're all about?
My name is CJ Leedy. I am a mindset coach and also a real estate agent and investor. My most recent venture, I just purchased an RV park here in Utah that we're doing kind of a health and wellness spin on. But I also wrote a book, which I released earlier this year called Tune Your Mind, Finding Follow Through and Fulfillment in the Dawn of Distraction and Disruption. And in that, I kind of integrate different concepts about mindset as they relate to life and business, and more specifically to real estate. That's really been my focus. Before I wrote the book, I've done $1 million worth of real estate sales and everything from land to residential to commercial properties, mobile home parks, RV parks, self-storage, development, all sorts of stuff. So hitting road, but a lot of fun along the way. And kind of the long term for me has always been the investment side. So it's kind of my mind and my knowledge and my financial basis to kind of go out and build a portfolio that I'm excited about.
We were chatting a little bit before we were recording, and you actually kind of shifted into real estate because you had a big mindset shift. So tell us a little bit about that journey and what made you decide on real estate, because it was real estate sales first and now you're big in investing.
Yeah. So actually when I was 18 years old, so 15 years ago, 33 now, I was hypnotized, and I was somebody who had a lot of social anxiety, social fears and things, and kind of was living in a little bubble of comfort for a lot of my earlier life. And this hypnosis experience just completely shook my mind around and woke me up to, the fact that I didn't have to be so self-conscious. Really, the focus was to not care so much about what other people thought about you. And it kind of helped me to really strip back to what was important to me. What did I really want to go out and do without any fear attached to it? And I really felt this sense of empowerment at that stage in my life, and started looking at a lot of areas of my life, but specifically for our conversation, my career, and saying, what do I really want to go out and do with my life? And it kind of came back to, well, I want to live a fun life. I want to do something that is inspired, something that I can touch other people's lives, and I can have freedom and flexibility within. And I was looking at a bunch of different areas, but one thing continued to kind of show through to me, which was real estate investing. It's like, if I could own a portfolio of properties that I had the potential to move around and to invest in things that excited me, and invest like this, an RV park that, people come on vacation and they can come for health and wellness, and a bunch of different ways to kind of spin it. I kind of just realized at that stage in my life that real estate investing was the ticket to helping me fulfill a lot of things that were important to me in life. So from there, I just said, hey, let's go for it. And I got my real estate license. I figured the easiest way to figure out the real estate investing game was to go out and sell it first. So I started off in residential and kind of ran from there.
18, you went and got your license. And I thought I was young when I got my license. I always say 20, and everyone's like, what in the world made you do that? So then where did you start knocking on doors? Did you have a mentor? Where can?
Yeah, so I was really fortunate. And I think a part of what led me into real estate in general was that I grew up around real estate in various forms. My parents started a manufacturing business out of their garage 70 years ago, and my dad ended up taking that over and branched it out into a few different businesses, medical manufacturing and a few other things, but also real estate holdings, industrial properties and things like that they owned and managed. I saw it from the commercial side. And then my grandma from my mom's side is also a rock star real estate agent. She's 84 years old right now, and she still outperforms most people in Minnesota, which is where I grew up, and she sells real estate. Pretty incredible. She's an absolute machine. And my mom also, on and off did residential lakeshore properties, buying and selling of those. So I kind of knew, like, long term, I didn't really just want to be a real estate agent. I wanted that to be a part of what I did, but long term for me, it was commercial investing. And so I kind of was looking at, I've backing in it, and I had, some mentors there. So I said, I'm moving back to Minnesota. I went to college in Denver, moved back to Minnesota though. I was like, I'll do this for a few years. I'm going to learn the ropes from mom and grandma. And they really, took me under their wing in a lot of ways. And I focused on first time home buyers and like all those normal types of things, did a bunch of open houses, cold calling, door knocking, all that kind of stuff. But very fortunate to have my mom and grandma there who, would take me on listing appointments and walk me around houses and do open houses with me in the beginning and just kind of show me the ropes. But, even from a young
Mhm.
age, office and be stapling paper when I was 5 years old and stuff. So I was kind of around it and used to it. And I think,
Yes.
you kind of, at least for me, I sort of looked at my parents and said, well, I don't really want to be my parents. I don't want to do the same thing as they did. But I think when I had that mindset shift and I looked at what really mattered to me and where I could go long term, it was like, well, it's not the same thing as what my parents are doing and have done. It's a variation of it, but I can still leverage the hand that I've been dealt to learn and to acquire skills so that I can then go out and do something, that's true to who I am.
Was this a bunch of knowledge in your mind just by osmosis being around, a couple different women that are selling a ton of real estate? You're learning and taking in all of that. So I'm sure you were able to kind of like jump in much quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. And I work with a
So
lot of young agents as a mindset coach. I help them kind of figure out how they want to approach their career in real estate. And one of the biggest things, obviously the experience that I had, but what I see in agents who are successful versus those who aren't is finding a good mentor, whether it is someone in your family or someone that you go into an office and you meet them there and, they need someone to help with paperwork and whatever else, go find a mentor. I think a lot of people look at it and they go, well, I want to make full commissions right off the bat. And I already have a few friends that want to look at houses and, kind of start thinking that you already have everything that you need. But you should really be focused in the career of real estate as start by focusing on learning before you're focusing on earning. And once you learn all the information that you need, you may not make quite as much money in your first few years. But as long as you build that healthy foundation, you set yourself up to be incredibly successful in the future. It really is a business of knowledge, a business of experience and skill set. And that's what people will see. And that's what will create your reputation, which will drive future business.
so important because I kind of what you assumes going and getting your real estate license day one, you think you're just going to be able to come out the door and sell. There's so much more to it, right? You've got to learn marketing, you've got to learn all the contracts, you've got to learn law. And like, yes, you learned some of it in those classes. There's so much more that you need to learn in the field while you're doing it. And then you're doing the investment side too. So where did that start? How did you goal, but did you get a mentor on the investment side too?
Did. It's a guy that I still have. It's actually a team. So I went back to Minnesota for a few years, but I was always like, I got to get into commercial. I want to start selling commercial properties because I need to learn the investment side, learn the numbers, the books, the underwriting. And so after about 5 years in Minnesota, kind of had made enough money that I had a little something in my pocket. And I said, I always also want to move to California. And so I just packed up, I hit the road, I moved out to California. Once I got there, I started looking for a commercial real estate job. And I was lucky that a friend of mine from college, I reached out to probably 15 people that I knew were kind of in commercial real estate, all within a few day window. I knew I wanted to do it all at once so I could look at all my options as closely as I could. I had a few people reach out, but one of which was a guy who was selling mobile home parks and RV parks and self-storage facilities for the company that I had now worked for as Yale Advisors, a small boutique brokerage based out of Miami. And they said, hey, we're looking for a West Coast representative to help us sell parks and facilities. And at first I was kind of like, oh, it's kind of a weird asset class. I don't know that that's, I thought I would do something cool like multifamily or like bougie hotels or something like that. And into it and investigated the space and really learned the fundamentals of both RV parks and the value add components that they have in mobile home parks and the risk adverse nature of them. And really just kind of to study the underwriting. I was like, this is actually an incredible asset class that is much less competitive than some of these other more glamorous assets. And so I was just fortunate. I kind of tripped and fell into a really good situation with a team out there. It was a bunch of, 30-year-olds who were young and hungry and hustling super hard and making hundreds of calls a week and working 50, 60 hours, maybe 80. And, finding success, closing big deals, 20 million plus dollar deals, 100 plus $1,000 commissions, sometimes $500,000 commissions and stuff. And so I really kind of got the bug and was like, I want to take it seriously. And, they're big, long deal cycles and deals with nuances to them. But through that, I've been able to connect with a variety of very successful investors, work with institutional groups that are billion-dollar hedge funds, and really, really different perspective, which has given me a different lens on how I could approach the real estate side. So just within the last couple of years, I invested in a park in Northern California that I'm a minority owner of, but it kind of showed me the ropes of RV park operating. And then I was like, all right, if I'm going to do this, I got to take it seriously. So I bought an RV, which is what I'm in right now. I'm in my RV. And I spent about 2 years traveling the US, staying at RV parks, just learning the ins and outs of it, learning what I like about parks, how it works, what from a consumer side. So then just a few months ago, purchased this RV park here in Utah. It's called the Rolling Home RV Park. It's in Nephi. It's about an hour south of Salt Lake. Beautiful park right on the side of the mountain. We've got about 60 spaces, and it's really gorgeous and exciting new adventure. So long term, I just want to do this for a few years and then go on, just continue to add to the portfolio and try to build a bunch of cool RV parks and kind of make a whole brand around health and wellness. And we've got a lot of ideas. We're in the process of all of them, but it's been fun.
I love the name of the RV park, by the way.
Isn't that something? Yeah.
It's just like a nice play on words.
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways you can.
So let's dive in. So you mentioned that you also coach agents. So are you just brand new agents? Are you coaching all different levels? Tell me a little bit about what you're doing in that space.
I've done a mix. The primary place where I can provide a ton of value is, relatively newer agents and kind of showing them the ropes, showing them just a couple basic first moves and things. But I think I also have a lot of success working with agents that are very skilled in what they do, but that are lacking maybe the inspiration, or they've hit a wall or whatever it is, where they just don't feel as inspired to go after, they're just not 100% sure that they're in it for all the right reasons and things, is really based on a process of how to take a look at an important area of your life. So for this real estate agent or investor, and to break down, why is this super important to me? What are the other areas of my life that this benefits? Who issue areas? My family? Is it, the income? How can it benefit other parts? And then is it trying to do? It's 5 different sections. Why is this important? What am I trying to do? So set some clear goals that are exciting, compelling. And then the mindset, the motivation, the momentum. So how much energy and action do you need to be putting in on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis, monthly, yearly, to make sure that you are hitting those goals? And understanding a sense of ease. So that's about your subconscious process. So your limiting beliefs versus your empowering beliefs. Do you have a belief system that's holding you back? Like for me, before I bought this park, it was that I was too young. I felt like, oh man, I'm too young to go out and buy a multi-million-dollar RV park where I'm going to have a bunch of staff. And I bought, it's like, who am I to do that in my early 30s? And I really had to break down that belief and look at it clearly, that I do have the skills, the knowledge, and the ability. And so helping people work through that block. And then finally, necessity. So realizing the importance that your career plays in your life, that real estate can play in your life, understanding the benefits of success and the consequences of being a little bit lazy and falling short on your goals and the things that are important to you. So my book really runs you through these 5 different areas of your mindset and how to tune them for whatever's important to you, specifically for this real estate, but it can be applied to a lot of different areas of your life. So that's the big areas. I like to work with young real estate agents that are just figuring it out and give them a sense of direction. And I like to work with more seasoned agents and investors who are hitting roadblocks and just feeling a little bit bogged down with the whole system, and help them kind of shift a couple things in their mind to start humming again and start getting excited about it and passionate about the work that they're doing.
Interested in the limiting beliefs part. Like, how do you really hone in on what that is for each individual person? Are you kind of having them do their own aha moment, or are you just kind of listening and going, hey, I think this is what's holding you back?
Great question. It's individual for everybody because everyone's are different and they're rooted in different things. And so, but in general, my coaching, I typically do 45 minutes to an hour coaching sessions, and we go through a variety of different processes based on where the person's at and what they're looking for. But usually, and it's something that kind of happened to me in my whole awakening around 18, I started to become very aware of the way that I think and my mindset, and become very clear on the things that were holding me back. And I've developed a skill set to the else is sort of tripping on something and say, hold on a second, let's talk a little bit more about that. Why is being a bothersome piece to you? What is it that's holding you back from you're excited about this or feeling like you can do it, or, what's a goal that you have and how goals, and why aren't your goals bigger, or why are your goals just where they are? You can usually pick up these pretty quickly because we all chip them. And that's just part of the human mind. We're filled with confidence and empowerment, but also fears and things that hold us back. And so even once you've spent years and years doing personal development and really like reached forms of enlightenment, we all still pick up little fears and things here and there. So and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's cool when you see it that way. You're like, hey, I can just shift a couple of these things. It starts to release the anchors that I'm pulling.
I'm going to add that book. We do a book club with my team every quarter. I'm going to totally add that book to our next book club and kind of go through that with the team. So that's amazing. So we're in a little bit, coaching you're doing. I think that's so important because there's so many coaches out there that are teaching tactical things within the business, but they're not always thinking about the net behind it, which are that's the reason why they're not making their calls. That's the reason why they're not setting those goals. So I love that you're really digging into that. So hear your answer, because we didn't get to review this before, but what would you say your superpower is?
Great question. I like to think I have lots of superpowers and built in belief, but I think as it relates to our topic here, I think it is an understanding of the mind, and especially as it relates to entrepreneurship and real estate and sales. It's an understanding of the way not only that my mind works, but that minds work. And like you just said, a lot of people talk about the tactics. And obviously, I cover fundamentals with people. How many calls are you making? What are you doing on a day-to-day basis? How many open houses? It's like all the basics, of course. But people know that. People can find that in a short period of time. And people don't always need just like accountability of someone checking in. Hey, did you do that today? It's what really drives us to take action is so much deeper. It's so much more fundamental to who we are and our sense of identity and our beliefs about what's important and meaningful in life. That's really what drives our actions. Usually we know what to do. We know what to do to be healthy. We know what to do a lot of times even to find happiness. But we don't always do it because we're conflicted in all of the inner workings of our belief systems and inner workings of our limiting beliefs and things like that. And so I've been so fortunate that I had that kind of wake up call at 18, because I started to just become obsessed with understanding the way that my mind worked and how to keep myself from slowing myself down and how to inspire myself. And that's really been the driving force to be confident enough to go out and to write the book and to sell those big properties and to purchase parks and things like that. It's the spiritual and emotional beyond just the physical, tactical actions. And that was the big shift for me. For a while, I thought it was just, you do these things and you find success. Like, no, you have to get in tune with yourself. And you have to really break down how you're thinking about what you're doing. That's what gives you the motivation. That's what gives you the follow through. That's what makes you feel fulfilled in the journey too, because we're not all just out here trying to sell 1 million homes and to make $1 million. We're doing that because we think that that's going to lead to a feeling. And so what feeling am I trying to lead to? Now you can actually break down, is the approach that I'm taking actually going to lead me there? And how do I follow an approach that actually will? And now you're on a much more purposeful, meaningful, aligned route to reaching it. And maybe it's still a lot of the same steps, understand why you're doing it. And so instead of just feeling like, I'm just trying to make $1 million, I don't really know why. The universe told me, everybody's telling me, you got to get rich, you got to make a lot of money, and real estate's a good way to do that. That's a lot of people's basic blueprint and fundamental thinking. But when you turn around, you say, you know what, actually, no, this is a full deep purpose in life. This can help me set my family up in a beautiful way. This can help me do things that are true to your heart. And now the actions that you're taking are related to that versus just this sort of societal expectation of paying the bills and making good money and being rich and blah, blah, blah. Those things that just, they don't have a lot of depth a lot of times. So I would say that's my superpowers, understanding the way that I think and process information and what's true to my identity and how to align that with actions that actually will be applicable in life. And thankfully, I've been able to help some other people with that along the way too.
So powerful. And it makes so much sense, right? Because everyone just says, if we're just talking real estate space, right? It's like, I'm going to sell X amount of GCI next year. And you're going, okay, well, how are you going to get there? Oh, why are you doing that? I'm not really sure. It's because I saw it on TV and I thought that should be my goal, right? But that's just
Yeah.
not as meaningful if there isn't a really strong, and everyone says why, right? But it's like the really strong why. You doing it, not just the shiny car or paid off house or whatever that looks like. So that's for sure. So if anybody that's listening wants to get in touch with you, CJ, whether it's for coaching or just to touch base with you or about your book, where's the best place to send them?
I'd say start by going to my website, CJ Leedy. It's LEDY.com, CJLeedy.com. That's where I have all of my contact information, but my email is coach@CJLeedy.com. You can text me or call me at 424-228-6200. I have a podcast called the Mindset is Art podcast, where I talk about life and business and mindset, things like that. Obviously, my book, Tune Your Mind, Finding Follow Through and Fulfillment, The Dawn of Distraction and Disruption. It's on Amazon. It's on Audible. I did an audio book that was just released a couple weeks ago, which I'm excited about too. Do public speaking. So, I should have some of my dates up on my website. I currently don't, but get some more up soon. If you want to come out and hear me give a speech or something, it's definitely a lot of different ways. Or if you're interested in specific real estate sales and things, I still sell a lot of properties. I sell RV parks, mobile home parks, some residential, but primarily I try to focus on commercial asset classes and do that well. Would love to talk to anybody about, anything that came up here, or real estate or life or mindset. It's all it's play. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an awesome conversation.
I agree. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate you having me.
Bye.
Bye-bye.